So welcome, Team Phoenix. Welcome all viewers live on LinkedIn and YouTube. And welcome everybody who's watching the recording, right? So if you're there, if you're watching, please write into the comments, write your name, write where you're from, right? We will greet you, we will answer all questions. So we will talk about social media for sales engineers. And I have an amazing guest today. This is Kyle MacArthur. He is global strategist for partner presales at Pegasystems. And he's I would say the most creative or creativity machine I've seen on LinkedIn, right? Your posts are amazing. They're really deep. They are creative, right? There's everything in there. There's really new stuff every 2 days. That's amazing. And I would love to hear your secrets. And I guess everyone who's watching too. So Kyle,
Sure.
Maybe you can tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm. I mean, my title that I put on LinkedIn is a bit of a joke, being the global strategist. But I do think of pre-sale strategy for the EMEA partners like Accenture and Capgemini, and how we can help them tell better stories, sell more quickly, build less, and have a more interesting presentation, including one that's interesting for them to design and deliver, which is not easy. That's all the art. I got into social media, Patrick, as part of the inspiration, just to see some of these people out here posting interesting things, writing books, just sharing a wealth of information that when I started in pre-sales, it was not here. There was very few people, very few books. There was no blogs. It was hard to get a hold of things. So I've increasingly grown into thinking as a community of pre-sales and sales engineering, we're getting immensely powerful. We're sharing and learning from each other faster than I've seen in 20 years that I've been doing this. It's just amazing what's going on. This is the time to be a sales engineer. The new people coming on board, they will rocket upwards in their career as people like me leave. That's how I see it.
I hope you won't leave so soon. So look, we have some people on here who say hi. Hi, Samuel. Hi, Richard. Hi, Rafa. Glad to see you. Rafa's in our challenge, right?
Hi,
we
Rafa.
have the 30-day social media challenge, and Rafa is doing a good job. And we try out new things.
Yeah. And ask questions if you've got specific challenges or things you've tried. Be glad.
So maybe, Kyle, we lost you. So who's in the chat? Can you tell me if Kyle is still there or if I got lost?
I'm here.
Kyle, you're back. Great. Yes. We lost you.
Yeah, it seemed to have hung for just a second, which is I can still hear you the whole time though.
Oh, great. Okay, then I don't worry so much. So if there are no questions from the audience so far, I would say I prepared questions. And there's one question I'm really interested to hear from you. And you will just see them down there, but I read them too. What is the biggest myth that sales engineers are told about social media?
I mean, I would see it as a couple. One thing that was a myth I had when I started was that when I posted something, I wouldn't be welcomed, and or I might even have more experienced people jumping down my throat, that I would find enemies. It's exactly the opposite. The people that react to what you post add to your ideas. They congratulate you. Often what you think everyone knows is unique to you when you share it, and they like the ideas. That was a big eye-opener for me, is that people are much more welcoming than you think. On the other hand, I did think my social media posts would be mainly read and liked by my peers in my one company. But again, the eye-opener was the exact reverse. I met so many new people from other companies, startups, and just brilliant people from everywhere, from authors to trainers to people in different industries. They're the ones that contribute immensely, and they interact, they engage, they add their comments and ideas. Completely the opposite of what I thought would happen. So it's really different than what you think might happen.
Yeah. That's a great motivator, right? Whatever holds you back, go for it. And I love Samuel, right? Samuel, I bring him just up here. I'll be up there with you, Patrick, one day. Yes, Samuel, please. Let's save the date, right?
Let's lift it up right now.
And you're up right now. And yeah, just for the show, right? This show is for, as I call it, hidden heroes, like people who have this full-time job as sales engineers, but still manage to are very professional on social media, right? So things that don't go easy for most of the people. And I think there are some ideas, some tips, some routines you do, right? But before we go there, let me ask you this. Why are you a sales engineer? Is this by accident, or did you plan this path, or how did you get into that?
It was unplanned, but once you fall into it and you're helping people, it's really hard to leave. And because I think there's two things going on is in sales engineering, you've always got a new interesting problem to solve. Why are they interesting? Because they're complicated. If they were simple, the company would have already solved them. So they're literally coming to you to solve something they can't solve, which is an amazing thing, and it never ends. There's research and thinking that you've got to do that is unique in this field. But if you look at the meta level, the pre-sales technique itself, beyond problem solving, the most effective ways to present, to deliver, to build, these are still not ironed out. Many people have advice, best practices and tips and lists of ways to approach pre-sales. But there's still a lot of open space for interpretation, for experimentation. And I still feel like this formula is not solved yet, even in how we best present. The tools change, the techniques change, the audiences change. It's a field of blue sky that never ends, is my feeling. That's why I just don't see a reason to leave a field this interesting.
And was it a plan?
It was not planned. I was in a job as a developer, developing sales operational tools.
Okay.
And every pre-sales person in the office quit within a very short amount of time, and I was I was the technical guy left standing. So they pointed at me. I'd never presented in my life, but that's how I got into it. No plan whatsoever.
That's great. I mean, I think most of us have a more technical background, right? And somehow you come into contact with customers, or everybody leaves. That's a good one, right? It's like this joke, right, where everybody goes back and you are the only one standing in front. And like,
I volunteer.
You get volunteered that way, right?
That's right. And so there, I struggled. I think back at that time, there was very few pre-sales books. I read Great Demo. I could see there was something beautiful in the ideas, but I didn't have enough experience to apply them. And that's the other learning in pre-sales is people can give you great advice, but until you're ready and have the experience to know what are they really talking about, it can be just words. So I did spend a lot of years with just words, and out of the 18 years I've been doing this, only the first 18 were hard. I mean, it's just a field that is constantly renewing itself.
So did I hear this correctly? It's 18 years in pre-sales.
18 years trying to position things, yeah.
Nice. That's experience. That's a veteran, right? By the way, Silvio's here. Hi, Silvio. Great to have you on board.
Silvio will get a shout out in a minute. I think he's facilitated an amazing team that I'm on. I would say, something to look for in a team.
Tell us more.
Yeah. Silvio has this amazing quality of having an open team where ideas are valued, which is not always the case, but he listens. He allows us to have creativity and brain space, and that's everyone universally on the team. He's the reason I came to the partner team itself. Balancing him, we've got two other qualities that I think are critical on a pre-sales team if you want to find one that will function at a high speed. Humor. There's someone on our team named Jörg who just brings just a warmth and humanity to the team that is amazing, and that keeps the creativity flowing. And secondarily, I posted about this a while ago, but if you can find a perfect complement to your own personality, and I think I'm a kind of a wild ideas guy, and I found the perfect mind to balance me and to evaluate my ideas, named Richard, and he's also on our team. So I can have the wildest idea, and he can think ahead in time and look behind and look at how this would work and apply in real life, which multiplies the power of anything I come up with by 10. It makes it real. Those three things, like the humanity and warmth, the openness, and the ability to balance your type of thinking with your opposite, or someone that really complements you. That's a team that's going somewhere. Those are the three personality types I like. Yeah,
nice. Hi, Jerome. Just want to greet you in between. Glad to see you. Good to have you here. We are here with Kyle MacArthur, and we're talking about why he became a sales engineer and what is, his view on like the team structure, how is creativity, how it stays in the team. Do you know Creativity Inc.? There's a book from Ed Catmull. Do you know this?
I've heard of it. I don't think I've read it. What did you find in it?
It's amazing. It actually describes what you said and multiplied by 10. Like Ed Catmull, right? They founded Pixar, and it's a Pixar story, and it's amazing how they kept the creative motion in the team, which tools they applied, like specific workshops or feedback, ways to give feedback. And this is the balancing act you said, right? Feedback is so important to iterate on ideas, to really get good at this stuff, right? This is Ed Catmull and Creativity. Very good book, right?
Yeah, because anyone with ideas wants them to be used. Same thing with a solution engineer. Your solution, you die inside if they don't pick it, because you put your heart into the solution. It's the same with any idea. You're proposing something, and as a team, if you can vet that and tune it so that it works, you've just created something new in the world. That's what it's all about.
Amazing. Okay, let us switch to the next question. I have some more for you. What advice, and this fits into the why, would you give to a sales engineer that just starts their journey? Everyone is stepping back, right? You're the last guys who stays in front. And now, what advice do you give this person?
I would say the most important part starting out is I'll kind of quote Bruce Lee a bit. Instead of be like water, be like glue. Pick up everything, every idea, write it down, write down great questions that you hear your manager ask you, and don't have them ask them again. If you hear a sales director, sales VP ask something about an account, write that down and know, why does that matter? Just start researching that. New ideas you see pre-sales people present. If you see ever someone do something clever that you haven't thought of, just steal it. Be like glue and take every idea. Second of all, don't move forward only. Look backwards. Always review. Now that you know more, look at the very first deal you did. Win or lose. What would you do differently now? Every deal you look back through your notes, you maybe look through the PowerPoint, and sometimes you'll laugh and you'll look at a slide. Oh, why did I how did I come up with that? Why did it take me 5 slides to say something so simple that I would now say in one sentence? So reviewing is just something I found really useful. Review and renew. Just renew what you've done in light of your experience. Think it through again.
Yeah, I have a similar name for that. It's called the A deal. So I trade, right? And when you trade, you look at charts, right? And if you go back in your trade diary, what you want to find is your A deal. So where you had the perfect entry, perfect in quotes, and exit, right? So and then you try to apply this to other charts, to other stocks, options, whatever. And I understand it in the same way, like you say, right? Go back, look at your deals, and when they went flawlessly, try to understand why, right? You made something, I'm sure you did something different in there. What was it, right? What have you done?
Yeah, that's a good point. What was your perfect 10 and why? Yeah. And sometimes you don't know why, and you may never, because when you look at a decision by a client, you may never know exactly why they chose you or a competitor. And I think to a degree, you have to be realistic about that and don't invent something that isn't there. So you don't create your perfect 10 when it was actually not. I call that false learning, but a lot of people are driven by myths that they invent themselves. And that's why I say when you review, be realistic with what you know now and renew and apply with humility what you've learned about the sales cycle.
Yeah, that's so insightful. That's great. But let's go into this social media section. What benefits do you have from that? So are there benefits you see from your activities? Maybe benefits for you or for others, for the company, or?
I think the primary benefit is when you commit something to writing, you have to clarify. So instead of a fuzzy idea or a maybe idea, you've actually got to think about what is the idea, write it down. And when you publish it, you can get feedback on that. It's generally going to be positive in social media, at least in this space, in pre-sales. We're not posting about politics. But that's it. When you clarify your mind and state exactly what your final belief is, you progress. You're building diamonds. Now you can use these ideas, and that's what I think that's the major breakthrough is it's helping you. It might be helping others, but it's really helping you clarify your own thoughts.
And have you ever experienced that maybe at the discovery call, you don't know the client, right? You join there and you have the feeling they know you because they've seen you on social media. Is this something you experienced?
I have experienced it once, kind of relatively recently, where they someone said, "Yeah, is that the Kyle that posts online?" And yeah,
what did this question do for the meeting?
Credibility. So your credibility just goes to bulletproof at that point.
Yeah.
And that means you can spend a lot less time talking, which is probably good in my case. But yeah, you don't have to keep drilling them on your credibility and on proving your answers because you come in credible and they believe what you say. So it speeds everything up.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I have this vision. Tell me what you think. I have this vision of early deal cycle, right? SEs or sales engineers, I hear often the complaint, we need to be there earlier, right? To understand, to ask questions, of course. But what if your AE would just say in the first prospecting calls, look, next week I join with my expert Kyle, and before you come to the meeting, dear client, look him up. Look at his post. He's the expert. Get comfortable with his ideas, right? What do you think? And bring this to the call. So really kind of demand to look up the expert, to point towards your LinkedIn profile or to your whatever you do, like blogs or videos or live streams, right? It actually doesn't matter.
The idea of offering is great. If people will take it up, I think it would vary based on the client. But it does seem like a beautiful idea to bring that to light. And if they view, then you're golden, because once they build that credibility for you, you've advanced the sales cycle.
Yeah. And how do you come up with this amazing idea? So you need to tell me how you came up with the pre-sales lightsaber. This post was amazing. I love Star Wars, so I'm a huge fan of that. And you got me immediately with the first sentence, right? I have the post in front of me. So if I look down, I look just at my laptop. I'll try to find it.
Yeah, well, the short story came from our partner boot camp, in which Silvio, my boss, he does use metaphors and stories related to how the Star Wars movie it's a great model for the difference between a demo, which is a trailer of the full solution, and a movie, which is the full solution. So that kind of got Star Wars stuck in my head, and I started thinking of, well, if I'm teaching you to focus, which is kind of one of my pet peeves, is say half as much twice as well. That's focusing like a laser, I thought, and that, I mean, okay, laser, that's a lightsaber, really, in Star Wars terms.
Okay, and what are other sources of creativity? One is to listen to others, right, and then combine this. What else? Give us some of your secrets. You have a lot of things to share, right? The range card for the battlefield. I love this one too. It's amazing. Your newest ones are all great, right?
Creativity seems to me to be two things. There's no bad ideas. There's only ideas that are homeless, and you need to develop them. So how do you develop them? I write down every idea, no matter how bad it is, no matter how immature it is, how partial my thought. And I review them and look at them from time to time and think, can I think of a way to put a visual on this, to grow this into something, to guide a pre-sales person? Many of them I can't think of a way yet. So that's one thing, is collect ideas and review them periodically. As your experience progresses, some will suddenly come to you and say, I know how I could say that. The other thing is, be fanatical about some problem space. So I've heard people say, fall in love with the problem, not the product. Yeah. If you fall in love with a problem, that becomes almost the baseline of your brain. And then looking at other light content, even watching YouTube on sports, watching a favorite movie series, TV series, that lets your brain relax. And when you start letting your brain relax and change scenes, task switch, that's when the creativity will hit you, and you'll relate something you're seeing to your problem space, which is dear to you. So I look at it like this. I only ever have one earphone in, right? I'm always trying to focus on one thing, but allow other content to come in. So when I'm running or something, I have the one earphone in. And that kind of, I just think that's sort of the model for what you need, is a deep attack on one problem and a very light, changing, fluid stream of other light content that you're not highly engaged with, and you'll start finding mappings.
Mappings is a good. Yeah, it's a good explanation. For me, it's taking off everything. So I take a walk for an hour, and I feel my body resists because it knows now we need to walk an hour. But when I do this, a lot of ideas emerge. There's like turmoil in there, right?
That's where I get a lot of my ideas, is just out running. And all suddenly, you're sort of staring into space, and you're thinking about, I need to write that down. Well, unfortunately, you're running. So
that's great. And is it a God-given thing, creativity? What do you think?
I think I think maybe it's both nature and nurture. Probably there are people that are naturally tuned into both getting deep into a problem space and being eclectic and taking in a lot of other information. Some people have many hobbies, many interests, and that's the kind of person that can start making collisions. But you can train it. I think literally you can. You can keep looking for connections. I once created a spreadsheet where, and I think I posted about this. I just took a random word and a random feature. I listed all our features of our product, and
Nice.
I just got a random word generator, and I just practiced. Take any random feature, and how is it like or unlike this word? And the word might be something like a coffee cup or
Yeah.
a salad bowl, and you just
Nice.
get practice to thinking, how could I use that as a metaphor? And really the best pre-sales people you're ever going to meet, they have a handful of really good metaphors that they're comfortable explaining. And they can take something extremely complicated and explain it in a very simple way that the clients get it. And those people are superstars.
I don't want to be a superstar, but can I run one example that I used at my time at MuleSoft?
Sure.
Can I run this against you? It was, how do I tell this? I always tried to get slimmer, right? So as you said, there is a baseline in my head. My baseline was gym. So when I worked at MuleSoft, we had this problem, right? This is middleware, enterprise service bus stuff. You know, you're from Pegasystem, you know MuleSoft, of course. And there was always legacy replacement and tools in there, incumbents we needed to fight, right? And I hated this because it was just feature comparison. So what I told client is like, when we just replace software here, right? Let's say we take out the other service bus and put others in. It's like you want to get slimmer, but you're just switching the gym, right? You're just switching contracts. It's you that needs to change. It's your habits, not the gym, right? So when you bring us in, well, it's a good idea. I like this, but you won't be successful because you're thinking in the wrong way, right? So this was my metaphor for listen to us, how we make things different, right? Let us tell you what's the difference.
That's right.
How you should behave.
Yeah.
It's organizational change.
I like that. Yeah, so if you think of creativity, well, if you think of metaphors that will work with an audience, you've got to think the core metaphors of life that are the most common in the world: family, home, maybe the top two in the world. If you can compare something to a family and how they interact, or a home and what goes on in the home, generally you'll get almost everyone understanding what you're talking about. So a gym membership, a diet, making dinner, these are beautiful universal subjects to use, and you picked a very good one right there.
Yeah. So there's more of this, how to do this, in this book, right? So there's a whole chapter on metaphors.
I like that book.
Thank you. And but you need to be careful, and that's something very important, right? The metaphor needs to fit, right? If you want to explain something kind and nice, you shouldn't use the metaphor of a slaughterhouse, right? To be very now putting up a conflict, right? So, and those kind of metaphors don't work. Or if you have something that works more on the ground level, right? I don't know how to explain differently. Don't talk about clouds, right?
Right.
It's an art. So metaphors and doing that directly, you need to train that, right? It's very, very important. Look at that, because otherwise they won't just work. And you ask yourself, why don't they work?
So two things I do is if I'm on a so I do enterprise sales, very expensive. So there's long relationships with a lot of these decision makers. I will run things by them, and they will help with the presentations. They're often happy to help your presentation succeed with the not only the slides, but the script, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, in what order, and to who. And they often are coaching you on how to win. So I would often run something by them first. But what I would run by them, I often try to get from the real people. So discovery directly with them, their humor, their stories. I look at what's on their walls back when we used to be face to face. I go on their forums. So I used to sell to a large trucking company, and I would go and try to find where do the real truckers hang out and the mechanics that work with the trucks, not the YouTube video about the company and but where do the actual people that drive these trucks talk really about what's good and bad about these trucks. And that's where I try to get, the source material is from the real world. You can actually contact dealerships and partners and intermediaries and sometimes even branches, like, and get the real story. What is it like working with this company? And and sometimes they're very happy to give you information about what's good and bad in a relationship, which you can use the quotes directly.
Yeah, that's great, and I think it gives you ideas also for the posts, right? Or things you want to put on social media, maybe in an abstract way, not about. So that's actually a question. Do you use client examples, and do you dare to name the client?
I've posted a couple of things from my trucking engagement a while ago, but I extracted the names and made sure it didn't give away anything. But the technique itself, using their own marketing, using their own words, it's really helpful because that's what they understand.
How long did it take you to that your posts became successful? So to speak the right language, right, with your audience.
Yeah, it's hard. I call social media a massless environment. So you post or you're a ghost. It's almost like there's no inertia. If I post something that's great, it doesn't mean the next thing I post is going to get a large audience or a lot of likes. Each one can be quite individual based on the way search algorithms work and linkages work. I could use just one different keyword and double how many people will see it. It's hard to track that. So I currently think of it like pleasure before measure. I'm not sure what keywords work. You can spend a lot of time studying that, looking at hashtags, looking at notifying people, but I still look at what do I feel like I want to post. So I don't know the secret of developing a large audience, but it does seem relatively normal that people react to valuable information, and that valuable information told in a way that is authentic to you because you care. Those two elements, you care and it's valuable, will at some point be noticed.
Yeah, and I think there's also, so you attracted me, right? and we got to know each other via LinkedIn and your posts. I loved your stuff. You said you like mine, so there was we were on exchange, and this is one really amazing thing for me. I think it's a gold mine for experts or contacts or people you can run ideas against, right? I sent you a new manuscript for a short story, and you are happy to say, yeah, well, I will look at that.
That's right, absolutely. And you'd be surprised as a pre-sales person how many what you might call superstar pre-sales people that you might be intimidated to contact. They will be easily happy to help you. I've contacted people like Peter Cohan, and he's called me right up and helped me through a decision, which it stunned me. But many people will jump on the phone, jump right on a conference call, and work through anything you want. There's also, I mean, if you like that kind of thing, something like a pre-sales collective, they even have a forum where you can volunteer to mentor people, or you can volunteer to be mentored and just start. I mean, the pre-sales community is taking off with helping each other. It is really a friendly community.
Okay. When we talk about pre-sales, there's a question I prepared. What are 3 tips for more success as a sales engineer? And if you can, maybe you can involve the social aspect too. Maybe it's a part of that. But I won't leave
Yeah,
it to you. I will leave it to you.
3 tips. So I would say being able to review what you've done in new light all the time, refresh yourself and look backwards. Um, that is that's going to be a huge tool with growing. I
Mhm.
guess you might say you'd have to want to grow. I like to coach and mentor pre-sales, but I do realize that at any given time, only a small subset of people are in the mindset to grow, to change their ways, to learn new techniques.
Yeah.
Almost everyone will listen to new techniques, but they may not be in the time of their career where they're going to apply a new technique. You've got to be realistic about yourself with that as well. There are times when you can work on your existing skills. So I would always say drill twice as hard on half as much. Get good at what you're good at, and
Mhm.
make that a foundation of excellence.
Yeah.
Don't look for new techniques. Get better at your old techniques. Often you can have a full plate of new ideas that you're not going to drill on. They maybe don't quite suit you, and they're going to only distract. That to me is something you've got to understand about yourself. Who are you? What are your strengths? And build on those. And the last thing for a successful sales engineer, I'd say, is get to know your account team, eh, better than your client, and be
Mhm.
willing to change your working ways to match them. I'll give you an example. When I was working a very long enterprise deal a while ago, I was working with a sales guy who he had a completely different style than me.
Mhm.
He's what I would call a visual thinker and a talk out loud guy. He would get me on the phone, and I would get frustrated because there was no goal to the meeting, there was no tasks assigned, and there was no outcome, no follow-up items. But literally what he wanted to do was talk through his talk track and get my feedback. And so I stopped resisting him and said, I understand how he works. He's he likes visuals that spark his creativity, and then he's just going to talk and talk and talk and talk till he gets uh, a comfortable talk track to go with that visual.
Mhm.
So I changed 100% and adapted to that. And all I started doing for him was trying to collect images that I thought explained a concept. I
Mhm.
would send it to him, and then I would, wait for his call, and then I would let him vent and talk through his invention of a talk track. So that was, to me, I had to change my ways. I couldn't hammer him into doing what I wanted, but as soon as I changed to meet him, we just got along like amazing, and we just started
Nice.
just doing so much better presentations and moving so fast together.
Okay, so that's an amazing story. And may I ask, like the provocative question, how important is demo training then? You mentioned nothing, right? But this is recognized as the pre-sales training, right? I hear demo training is pre-sales training, and I have a problem with that a bit, at least. Um, you did mention it, so how do you see this in relevance with the skills you just mentioned, right? And
Yeah,
processes.
I think I'm going to say this again. I've posted on this. I don't see demos as where you should start with your thinking. I
Yeah.
think what you're trying to do is accelerate a decision, and that
Mm-hmm.
decision is that you have the best solution. Typically, for the pre-sales person, it is the technical decision that technically this fits the best in our environment that we can find at this current time. And so I think you say it, given that that's what we need to have decided, and given that there's 6 decision makers and I've got to meet with them, maybe most of them, sometimes you can't meet with all.
Mm-hmm.
I need to understand how to move the needle on their beliefs down towards the decision I want. Now, that may be a demo. It's almost always at least some part of a demo, but I just changed the weighting quite a bit to say demo is just one kind of content I could present, but it could be videos, it could be stories, it could be customer testimonials off the website, white papers. I can also disintegrate the demo day into I'm going to meet or send communications to some of the decision makers ahead of the demo. Then I might have a shorter demo day, and I'm going to follow up on some things later. So I've distributed that demo across a couple different meetings and days. Sometimes it's very easy to win a single decision maker over in isolation, and then bring them back with the others. But yeah, I think that what we're going to demo is the last question you should be asking. How we're going to change their beliefs is where I start.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. I heard this quote somewhere in preparation for one of my webinars. I heard this quote: "Sales is transfer of belief." I like this a lot.
Good one. Yeah.
It's just what you said, right? And yeah, and of course, demo is a tool to do that, alongside with other proof of value tools like POCs you need to manage, right? Or workshops or whatever, right? And Sam, yes, shout out to the Presales Collective.
That's right.
Very good group. And
they
run a book club for this amazing book here, the Social Sales Engineer. It's this month. Please join, right? And we will meet us. There are 2 appointments where we can discuss all kind of things. But it's everything in the Presales Collective Slack. Yeah, great one. Thank you, Sam.
I was going to say, when I started pre-sales, we still had to prove the software was real. Those days are done. People don't.
What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate a bit more? How did you do that?
I started in Siebel a long time ago, and the idea that customers had was they don't believe what you're saying, that you can do what you're saying you can do, that it may be vaporware, it may not exist yet, that you may be bold-faced lying, or you may be saying you can do something, but it's not going to be out for a year or 2 years, or maybe never. And so they wanted to always see it. I don't think that happens anymore. I think people believe that, and they've seen so many pieces of software that can do amazing things, that they don't need necessarily to have that touch test, that everything you're saying I can see in front of me. So it's more about giving them at least 1 or 2 tastes of it. That this is what it looks like, but let's talk about what it can do. And they're more comfortable with that, I think, every year. People know software can do amazing things, and that if you throw people and money at it, it can do just about anything. So they're not worried about seeing it. I think we're living in a world of legacy seeing is believing that is not accurate anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I like to say when I worked at MuleSoft, selling a dream, right? Because we had such a strong and compelling vision. I always thought I'm selling a dream because the product was developed while we were forging our message, right? And this was amazing, and it worked out pretty well because we had a very good team. Then I met another sales engineer where I said, and he said, "I hate this. I think it's the art of the possible," and I like this a lot too. I think this describes it very well. What pre-sales are there to show the art of the possible. Where do we go, dear client, right? What do we achieve together? This kind of feeling and emotion, I think this is important. And this brings me to another question. And it's a bit provocative because it goes in that direction. So should sales engineers actually be entertainers or actors? What do you think?
No, I don't think they should be actors, but I do think they are entertainers. We are engagers, might be a better way to say it. We've got to keep people listening and interacting, and hopefully interacting more and more as we go, because we need to stand back as they start taking the vision and the art of the possible into their own reality. But I would say in the most entertaining position for a pre-sales person is in the first moments, that they've got to grab attention and show that they're not just every other competitor that just came by and demoed. So if you're going to do anything creative or entertaining, it would be the first 5 minutes. You've got to find something interesting, be a prop, a story. You've got to, I guess they call it in acting, breaking out of the fourth wall, something like that. You've got to be able to do something that wakes up the audience, that this is not just another cookie cutter presentation to sleep through. They might have been through hours already on that day.
Exactly.
And that's it. That's when you entertain. But the rest is being authentic, telling a story, creating a vision. That's my thought on it.
But what is, if your authenticity, is this correct? Is actually bringing your audience, so they fall asleep. Just because you don't manage to, what I believe is this gaining this energy, right, and bringing it into the room. So you are excited about what you're saying, right? Mm-hmm. And like an athlete that really powers him or herself up before running or whatever they do, right? Or the soccer game. How do you see this in a relationship to entertaining or acting?
Energy I could see. I guess in my mind, what I'm thinking acting is being something other than yourself. And I think that might be the salesperson more than the sales engineer. What people like about the sales engineer is they are themselves. They are authentic. Mm-hmm. The energy, I think I would rephrase that as conviction. If you have conviction in your solution, that comes across to the client, that is what they're looking for, to believe in you. Energy is certainly something you need, or they fall asleep. But I would say it's very authentic, core belief in you having done your due diligence on that solution, and you believe in it.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, professionality has to be there. There are so many cases I could name, but there would be one thing. Just imagine you had a terrible argument with your wife, right, or your kids, and there's this CIO board meeting where you present. So this morning it was close to breaking up the whole family. Now you go there, and you feel terrible. What do? Are you going to be authentic and show everybody how miserable you are?
I think you would authentically conceal your personal problems.
No,
I mean,
right?
Yes, yeah, you could say it as acting, but I kind of struggle to think that a personal problem upsetting me would carry over into my my change of focus. I mean, I guess it could be an extremely big problem, but I do feel like it's a very critical and heartfelt problem that I'm solving. I am trying to help this customer. Really, I think of it as I'm trying to help hundreds or thousands of frontline people have a better life. That is extremely serious to me, and I do feel like I can put away some amount of stress and friction in personal life, because this is very important to me. That's how I feel.
Okay, I'm not going to bother you more. I think you're more than right. It's really just how do we understand acting and entertaining, right?
That's
so
right.
Let's stay away maybe a bit from the professional life. I have, I think I told you that. So yeah, this one. I'm interested in you as a person also, right? So not only presets, but do you have in your life 1 or 2 tips, hacks about anything? So what stock will soar? I will buy, right? If you have an idea, tell me. No, seriously. Is there anything in life you think you cracked a nut? There is a secret.
I don't know of any big secret to give away, but I've lately this year been finding a huge benefit out of task management apps on the phone. So I use Habitica, and
how's it called?
Habitica, like a habit.
Habitica.
Habitica. And it allows you to define your daily, weekly tasks that you want to accomplish, and it does a little gaming and scoring, and allows you to set up groups that are doing similar things. So they could be anything from health to pre-sales. I set up tasks around reading pre-sales content online. So like I will go and read 3 articles on LinkedIn. Then I will go and read 3 posts on our internal forums. I will post 1 thing a week. So I found it very easy to structure my activities with this little gaming app. And I thought that was a breakthrough and helped me get a lot of things done. I had a mix of pre-sales and exercise and fitness things in there, like drinking water and doing exercise, but they're all in one place. And just clicking off the little tasks, I've read my 3 articles, I've posted 1 thing, I've updated 1 record. That I found amazing. And there's a good number of these apps out there.
Okay.
I guess a secret, if I could say one little small secret.
Yes, please. Secret.
This was back from the days of getting a lot of RFPs, and I found that the file properties on these RFPs were often not erased. If you're not going through an online portal where they can erase everything, and you're just putting something into a form, if you've got the physical file sent to you, an email or posted on FTP, the file properties often show you who wrote this, and I've even seen a competitor's name in there. In other words, that this RFP came from a direct competitor. The guy's name was still in it. So we pretty much knew what was going on there. But I always immediately look for the file properties on a Windows file, go and look those people up. It's either going to be someone in the organization, an admin assistant, someone in procurement, some sales director, or if you hit gold, it's a competitor. It's some sales engineer from a competitor. Wow, that's an amazing win.
That's a great tip, and I could even imagine you can sue them because you can see that they used a hacked version of Word.
That's right. It's funny.
You're out.
Yeah,
that's an amazing tip, right? Look into, open the info box of a file to see who's the owner. Google them and see where this comes from. It's amazing.
You can find everyone now. And if I do the same thing with my contacts in a deal, I will look them up on LinkedIn. And then I look at their activities and I file by anything they've posted. And if they've written 2 or 3 sentences on a post instead of simply liked something, I can start to understand how they speak. And I will literally steal their phrases and use them when I'm presenting an idea. And that I think helps a lot with building rapport.
Amazing. Amazing ideas. There's one more thing I want to ask you, and you mentioned it already. Let me find the banner. And while I look for it, the question is, what books would you recommend pre-sales people to read? Right? Doesn't need to be. You mentioned before there were less pre-sales books than there are now, but maybe there's more than just usual prospects.
Yeah, I've always liked Great Demo and Demo to Win. Yeah, I like your social book because I don't think anyone's really addressed that.
Thank you.
And if I could say one that's kind of off the beaten path, I really like an older book called Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. I get goosebumps. It was my revelation. This book is amazing.
I thought not only did it give good advice, but it gave you some sample words to use, which I always think that's a breakthrough, is to hear how a good person would really say this to a live client or prospect and imitate that. I said, be like glue. In the beginning, I just stole everything a good person said. And I would, if I could possibly get on a WebEx or a demo of a really good pre-sales star, I would just write down all their phrases. What did they say on this slide? And literally I would try to drill myself to know these things. Later, I could develop my own ways, but first I was stealing how good people explain things.
I also remember this. I translated what they wrote there, right? And because I needed it in German. but I realized while translating, I really reworked this, right? And I got to the essence of it, which I think would be hard for me just by reading. Yeah, amazing book. And anything else? Second tip. Wait, there's a tip. Richard.
Richard, who I mentioned is my partner in crime. He's the balance to my chaotic mind. And
Hi,
yeah,
Richard. Great balance. So you said the second tip of this story is to erase properties from the files you send.
I always do because I know they're visible. Yep.
Does that mean you prepare RFPs for clients?
I have a lot. I think RFPs are something I worked on much more
Thanks,
early
Sam.
in my career.
Go on, sorry. I just said bye to Sam.
RFPs seem to be much heavier in my early career and much lighter in later enterprise sales. Enterprise sales, seemingly a lot of the pitches didn't have an RFP yet. We were creating the vision, doing the art of the possible, trying to think up a new solution, bringing two groups together in a way that they hadn't thought to work before. So they don't have the idea of an RFP. We're literally pitching an idea to them and leading it, which is, if you can be, that's where you want to be.
Exactly. So then you mean then the result is they have this vision, they buy into it, but they don't have an RFP to run this buying cycle. So you would prepare for them according to the vision, right?
If they required an RFP, yeah, then we would create one that would favor us.
Yeah. I think you already did this.
Yes.
Is there someone we are close to the end, so I have two more things. One is a shout out or praise. What's amazing about them? I think you named your Silvio, right, before, and now Richard. So you're...
Yeah, I would say in general, since I already praised my team, I think praising people, thanking them is an underutilized activity in the world. I try to look at people behind the scenes that are even allowing me to do what I do. Like there are people that onboard customers before you can ever try to upsell them, and they're doing immense amounts of work to set the stage for you, preparing materials, entering records, upkeeping and keeping systems going. IT is doing I used to be in IT, doing tremendous amount of work to keep all these systems and CRM records up and ready for you, and they deserve thanks. They're working like crazy to keep these big sales systems going so that you can focus on thinking up slides and posting on social media.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's great. Okay, so then we're approaching the hour, and we will finish with the hour. But I want you, maybe if you have someone in mind that you want to nominate for this live stream, I would be happy. So whomever you contact, name, I will contact and ask if there's time to join, right? If you have an amazing idea of a colleague, I want this to spread and
I'm thinking of someone. One of the inspirations for me having the courage to do social media in the US, his name was Dean Stavro, and he posts in the manufacturing industry expertise space. He's a sales engineer on the US manufacturing team. He's just amazing. He has the courage to post anything. I mean, he's very very authentic and shares his opinions, his ideas about solutions, his opinion about what someone else just posted. I find him inspiring, and I think he's a great person to have on the show and talk about his approaches to social media and how does he keep that level of energy going in his posts.
Nice. That's a big one. Great. So I will contact Dan, right? You said Dan?
I'll send your name, Dean Stavro.
Dean. Okay. And let's see if he's interested. hopefully. He's a hidden hero, right? So this is how we want to uncover people I would never find, right? So I'm starting with you in my network, and then we grow out. And hopefully everybody has fun with this, because there are the nuggets and pieces we want to know how to crack social media, right? So Kyle, any final words from your side?
Really, thanks for having me on. I love it. If I can help any of you beautiful people that attended, let me know. I would say get Patrick's book. It does literally start you off on how to get onto social media, and we can tell if you're following it or not, because he told you exactly what hashtags to add, and I can see if you're doing it or not.
Psst, this was a secret.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Team Phoenix, right? Everyone who follows this little guy there. Thanks for watching the live stream. Thanks for watching the recording. I hope you got a lot of knowledge out of Kyle's experience. He's a veteran, and I love to have you there on the very first episode. That was really the first one, and even for you, right? You told me it was your first
That's right.
live stream podcast webinar kind of thing in public. I mean,
yes.
So
you inspired me to grow.
Yeah, thanks for your braveness. And I liked everything you said is pure gold, right? But with that, thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, talk to you soon. We will come up every week with interceptions of different contents. Next week, I know already there will be Philipp Schöne. He is sales engineering leader from MuleSoft, working there. He's a very interesting person with a lot to say. And the week after, we will have Rob Riefstahl and Don Carmichael, and we will talk specifically about if sales engineers should be actors or entertainers. This will be a highly emotional topic. So I'm really looking forward to see you all. And with that, I would say, bye, Richard. Bye, everyone who watched. Over and out.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.